when I was in the Marine Corps, like I was a good part of my role sometimes within my platoon or team or squad or wherever I was. I tried to be as much of a morale booster as I could. I made the jokes, I told the stories, tried to keep things upbeat, all within the structure of a Marine unit, right? But there came a point where, and yes, I was absolutely a kid. I was 17 years old when I joined, 18, 19, yeah. But that was just part of my character. Well, it became, as one of you said earlier about Hobie, part of that self-discovery was potentially because maybe part of his journey involved some level of him getting kind of put into, like he was kind of pegged into a hole. And then that's his role, okay? Well, in the Marine Corps, I ended up in this position where I was essentially the Chris Farley of the group. Like anytime, anywhere we were, hey, Roscoe, get up there and do something. And I'd had to jump up and go dance, or I would make a joke, or I would tell a story or whatever. And I got so sick of it. Like, and part of it was because I was depressed. I was homesick. There was a lot going on. I started to kind of lose myself, and I got so sick of it. So anytime they'd be like, Roscoe, hey, get up there and make us laugh. Oh, I would get really irritated, and I kind of hated it. Well, then we went to Thailand, and we were in Thailand, and my platoon linked up with a platoon from the Royal Thai Marines. And as I've told you before, we taught them like how to clear a building, room to room, hallways, all that good stuff. And then they taught us Muay Thai kickboxing. But none of us could speak the other's language. So it was really, really quite a challenge. But during this evolution, there was this time where, like, we brought them out, we found a spot that, we were allowed to shoot guns, and we taught them how to shoot guns in a specific way that's needed within a building. And again, don't speak each other's language, so you have to use different methodologies to get points across. It's really, really incredible when it happens. But the point is, while we're out there at this range, at some point, I don't remember what the context was, but like a bunch of kids show up, right? And I don't remember how it happened. I mean, like, it was probably maybe 5, 6, 7 kids. They were younger, and they came by. Now we were done. We were eating lunch and, whatever. And, the Royal Thai Marines are over here, and they're talking to each other, and we're talking to each other over here because we don't speak each other's language. Well, then something happened, and one of the kids did something, and I kind of gave a look back, kind of a face or something. I don't know. But the kid just lost it. And hysterical, started laughing. And he said something to somebody else. He started pointing at me, and I did the face again. Well, next thing you know, like, I'm like vaudeville with these kids and with these Royal Thai Marines who are about my age generally. So they're probably 19 years old, 18 years old. And even though we don't speak each other's language, I just start being kind of a goofball. I started kind of playing charades with them and kind of acting out movies that I thought maybe they had seen. I like, have you seen Jurassic Park in Thailand? I have no idea. I acted out a piece of Jurassic Park. So like I did the Tyrannosaurus Rex, I did the roar, I did the little Velociraptor, and I'm running around chasing the kids. Like, it was a whole big thing. And before you know it, everybody's laughing, they're clapping, and they're cheering me on. But the point was, it was this moment, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, because as humble as I am, I found myself in this moment kind of getting a bit of a reality check that even outside of even with the language barrier, this was kind of my gift. It was kind of my gift to entertain and perform and to kind of bring this little boost of morale up, to bridge this gap between those who spoke Thai and then us who spoke English, right? So that was a moment for me that, like Yugsan was talking about, he went to South Africa, he danced with the kids, and he realized, like, this is kind of bigger than me. That was my moment where I realized, you know what, like, if I'm going to be like the butt of some jokes or whatever, like, that's fine, because maybe it's bigger than me. Maybe it's more important than just me. And that's not always the case, but for me, that was a very defining moment that I when he was talking about that, it resonated with me and it reminded me of that. It was one of those moments in my life I will never, ever forget. It was really wild. And as a matter of fact, there was a lieutenant with the Thais. And when we left, he came up. This dude was jacked. He was like 4.5 feet tall. He was just jacked, swole, badass. And he came up to me and he said something in Thai, no idea, but it was respectful. And I could tell that it was a compliment. And he shook my hand and he held it tight and he held my arm and he said all of this stuff, which I just stood there and I nodded and, you know, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had no idea what he said. And then he gave me this like medallion that I later made into a necklace and I wore forever. And I took that. And even though I never knew what he said, I felt like, if I'm being presumptuous AF, he was essentially complimenting what I had done that day between the two groups. That's how I took it. When I read his face and I could kind of read his nod, that's how I took it. I do have it. I'll be right back. All right. So the band has since changed because I wore it for so long that I actually lost one side of it. So this right here, let's see. So that right there is the medallion. I wore it out. Okay. That's pretty much as close as I can get it right there. The other half, because I wore it out, lost the cover, lost the color. But that was really it. And it meant a lot to me. And that's why I wore it. You know, I'm this 18-year-old kid that's sitting in Thailand and communicating with these people that we have no idea what we're saying. But yeah, it was wicked important to me. And again, it was one of those things I'll never forget. And part of that, for me and my story, I think is why I feel the way that I feel 20-something years later, where I realize how important it is that we talk to each other, that we share with each other, that you understand kind of where I'm coming from and I understand where you're coming from. And even if we don't necessarily line up 100%, at least we took the time to communicate with one another so that we have a better idea of where each of us are coming from, if that makes any sense whatsoever.